Welcome everyone to the, isn't it, third episode of Emperors of New Hellas? And in the last episode, we got through my own stupidity to take Mistrust, and in return, the Corinthian Peninsula over here. And we started a war with the Latins, and who would have thought this? We're already in trouble, as our huge force here, which could probably beat their force if I'm going to be honest, is stuck in a situation in which they cannot defend Thessalonica and they can attack. I guess I'll just have to see what they do, and we end our turn here. Let's just hope that the Latin army attacks us and not Thessalonica, because we wouldn't want to lose a city as large as Thessalonica in any situation. The Latin army does exactly the opposite of what it should have done. Though, so lucky us, they have ran apparently to fight the Nicaeans. Maybe they got scared by a priest. Who the heck knows? Anyway, we'll need to see where they actually went, but first of all, we need to make a switcheroo of a leader somewhere. Manuel died, and a bunch of other people died. Luckily, our family is still really powerful. All these characters looking fairly strong. I'm going to put Pelagios. Actually, Pelagios is already in a good place. Before I could put him somewhere else. And we're just going to bag ourselves a little bit of money with this. We're going to go to the Genoese as an example, and find out that we can't do it. Not in Pisa, not in Venice. My plan here is to just sell off the one person in our family that is not married and is a woman. Here we can actually demand, because apparently they haven't got anyone for us to marry. And our leftover character too. We get a little bit of money and actually a good character from that, so very much worthwhile. We can do the exact same thing here. Only this time somehow we get them to do quite a lot more for us. We could break the military alliance, but seems like we'll just have to go for a military alliance. We cannot get them to fight a war against anyone, so kind of sucks, but whatever. We're going to do the exact same thing here, and we can actually make the Nicaeans our vassal, which is scary to think of. Just thought of that. So I'm not sure what all this actually means. If we can get a vassal out of them, they don't seem to want it though. This is awkward to think of, and just for the sake of it, we're not going to make them our vassal. We're going to conquer them instead and ask for loads of gold in return for such. Because remember that our goal for this, let me just quickly pop up the actual right map. Our goal is to have everything from this part of Dalmatia all the way to this area, Iraq, I believe it is. We want to rule all of Syria, Armenia, and those places in that area. So yeah, that's our plan. And as you can see, the Latin army didn't really move that far. But for some reason it cannot move. I think it's recruiting, and that's why. Over in our actual territories, we're going to turn in this mineral estate into a Kephal's palace, and we're also going to build ourselves a fountain. While we do that, we could do some other things. Maybe we could increase our castle, fort over here to a castle, which don't mind if I do. We can then send our main army over here, which is really powerful, to besiege Philippopolis. And because of how the game actually works, it's only got basic walls at the moment, I think. We stopped the construction of something that would have high walls, which would allow us to get siege towers and actually use them. As you can see now, our ability to vassalize them is gone. And looking at this, we have a load of family members from different nations now. Marcos does not need to seek a wife any longer. And that does mean that our control and dominion actually rise a little bit. As you can see, very influential figures that we got here. Anyway, we are besieging, and our turn is ending. But first, I'm just going to increase the authority over there. The Bulgarians, they could support us in this attack on Philippopolis. I don't really care, but they could, in case the Latins decide to do something, which they do decide to do. They move both of their armies to attack us, which isn't a good thing for us. We definitely don't want to fight this battle against all these troops. But we retreat into a slightly better position because we don't have to deal with a huge garrison. Now we have to deal with the small force of spear militia, crossmen, and so on, and then the much larger force. We might be in luck though here, because they've only actually got 3 melee units in their original force, and 2 in their first force. The original force I was talking about being the reinforcements. And 3 of them are spear militias, and the rest are a bunch of bowmen. Sure, our cavalry might not be able to take on the enemy's cavalry, but they might not need to. And that is the key. If we don't need to deal with the enemy's army, in the sense we don't have to deal with the cavalry, we can get our cavalry to attack the enemy's ranged troops, then we could win the battle. Only question is, will they be on the attack or will they be on the defense? Because they've got artillery, and that might mean they sit back and just fire upon us. When you see right here in this battle, I'm going to have a front line of a few units with my archers right behind. Then my upper guards, or my remaining upper guards even further back. 2 units of cavalry on each flank. And I'm not going to attack the original army. Naturally, now that I see this, I'm going to move my forces up to the high ground. And now the formation is messed up. So, now, new plan. We're going to have our bowmen, which in this mod seem to also have extremely good melee stats for some god forbidden reason. They're going to be sitting on the hill. I'm going to have my main line stretch out a bit more. For the sake of stretching out a little bit more. My other Emperor guards are going to hide behind the hill. Generally the exact same thing. And my cavalry are going to be at the back. I'm going to pause immediately. And make an even further change. And that is, I'm going to go up onto this hill, which is actually pretty well protected. Because as you can see, there's this bit of high ground over here, which is insurmountable, which will help us a great deal. We're going to line up some of our other troops on this side, along with our 2 remaining Emperor guards. Our cavalry is going to sit at the very back, with our archers 4 in the center, with their good range. 1 unit here and another here. And my general in the center. Checking the stats between my Despot Guard and my enemy's Latin bodyguards. It turns out that the Despot's bodyguards are actually better in terms of charge bonus, but worse in terms of melee stats, mainly due to the fact that the enemy's guards have got some better statistics through experience. There's a high chance of us losing this battle, but there's also a high chance of us winning this battle. And we're going to have a bit of a bonus because the artillery will take a lot longer than all the other units to set up and get to the battlefield. So I'm going to have my cavalry run right down. With such a hilly landscape, we are going to have a huge advantage in terms of terrain. But I'm going to send my cavalry to hide for the time being, because I want to send 1 unit each after 1 artillery piece, and later after the crossbows. Some good crossbow units in there, crossbow and men at arms as an example. Other than that though, they've got nothing of quality. Some very high tier Latin chevaliers, mounted sergeants with exactly the same stats as us, other than armor. But we have the wedge formation, which, well, guess what is better. we're going to keep on hiding our cavalry. I'm going to speed this up because it's taking ages for them to form up. Going to form just random spells all over the place because why not? As we can see, a few of the crossbowmen at arms might actually bypass our cavalry. So we just hope that they go right up the hill. We're just going to keep on waiting for them because this is the only thing that we can do at the moment. Just keep waiting. Seems like they will not find us here, luckily. Meanwhile, the enemy's sergeants and chevaliers are on their way. The artillery piece is not far behind, actually, so in a bit of trouble, but not in absolutely loads of it. Unlike we would have been in other circumstances. We also need to realize that this is one wave of troops. The other wave of troops being pretty far behind. Over here. It's also a group with the general. Or the leading general. Don't know where the other general has went, but he must be in there somewhere. Can't imagine that he's just sitting around doing nothing over there, so. Anyway, change of plans as well, because new plan is that we move our cavalry around this little hill over here, and up here behind them to strike at their crossbow troops. We're going to slightly increase the concentration of the line there. We're also going to actually charge down. We can see that their other general is right here, so no problem there. I'm going to wait for these pike troops because the pike troops are the most dangerous. The spear militia will be easy pickings. So we begin. We charge down. And our cavalry will go and hit their general. The crossbowmen at arms. And bow militia. As you can see, these other troops here are already being melted. The spear militia with the downhill charge, the javelins, because Epic Guard are the only unit in the game right now with javelins, I believe. Also, Francois was a bit beaten up. I think that might have been a volley of arrows. That hit him, and that's the reason. We're going to keep it on, keep the pressure going. We're going to send another unit down the hill. We're going to have some of our troops redirect their fire in a second. As you can see, our forces down the hill are now a bit broken up, but that matters not. Because we've still got reserves. I don't think they do, so lucky us there, I guess. We cannot actually afford our cavalry being in there for too long, so I'm going to send some of the spearmen down. We've still got the foot chevaliers to deal with, which I actually didn't realize were there. So I guess unpleasant surprise. We're going to stretch the Emperor Guard out a little bit more there. We're also going to strike at these Latin Chevaliers and release the get some of these Emperor troops down. As you can see, all these archer units are being felled really quickly at that. We lose one unit of Emperor Guard, but in return our spearmen are getting into the melee there. We're now losing all over the front, somehow. So we'll have to redo our front line. We're losing troops all over the place, but I guess that's sometimes going to have to be the cost of victory. We've lost one unit of cavalry so far. The rest doing all right. We're going to begin charging some more Emperor Guard down, and we're going to send our general in to fight alongside the troops. As we can see, a lot of the horsemen being felled by this attack, and now with the charge from behind, they retreat. All good. As long as none of our troops die, I'm okay with it. Our despots actually hit right there. We're going to hit some of the spear militia, and finally send a troop of Emperor Guard to deal with the enemy. Seems like my micro is all over the place right now. I'm going to send some mounted sergeants down, and the last unit of Emperor Guard can begin moving down as well. Some of the cavalry can now begin wreaking havoc, which is exactly what we need right now. The bone militia are going to get defeated over time in that situation. We're going to line up 2 units while 1 unit keeps on the chase. We've got some Emperor Guard into melees. We're continuing our reckless charge forth into the enemy line. Now even some of the cavalrymen getting into the action. This huge downhill charge from our cavalry is going to be devastating. The Latin Chevaliers have actually retreated from a melee we set up against them. So that's all good. One of our archers are going to be charging into this random general. And all seems good. Our melee line is not really a line but a mosh pit. We got a continuous march up the hill, and some of our cavalry are going to be able to get into the enemy's back line. A lot of the enemy's archers are running prematurely from the battle. And all of our archers are not going to, if given melee orders. I don't see why not, personally. Our general beats the Latin Chevaliers because Latin Chevaliers decided to run away. And Attila says running away bad. And with that, the battle is drawing to a close. Just needing to take the few units left in melee combat. And victory should be in our grasp. We're going to send a few units here and there into melees. And really now it's a massive slog that we have to go through. This one unit that wasn't doing anything is now going to charge in. The enemy general dies at this point, which is a great thing because now the morale is going to be heavily, well, it's going to be a lot lesser, and here this allows us to run out another unit. And because a lot of these troops were reinforcements, we will need to chase them all down. Over here, I don't think there's any point of chasing these dead units. A lot of the enemy units are actually close to death already, so they might just get deleted. Instead, we're just going to speed up the process of killing some of the actually dying units. And now, with the enemy forces basically gone off the field, and us taking heavy casualties, victory has been achieved. Going to charge these men at arms, and after that we're going to just to give it up. And heroic victory, as you can see. For Latin forces decimated from 2,000 to 200, and we only lose 750. With 2,000 troops still remaining, plus the extra 14 soldiers, I guess, but what does that matter? The enemy army is basically dead somehow. The Francois person was able to get away, or whatever. We're going to take on the captives and allow this to play out similarly to one of the campaigns I did before I started recording, which is after a great old victory, we are going to gain gain a peace treaty, and with that peace treaty will come our kind of moral supremacy, and also the ability to build up troops for a bit of a steamroller of a offensive. Because there's no way that we can fight another one of these battles with a badly battered force. We are in turn then going to ask for a peace treaty, give them, and ask for some money, which they are willing to give us, at least the 5,000 maybe. And that's a bit of a compensation for our losses. And the plan now is to just tow this ballista back to the cities that we own, and that should be it. So the questions rolling now are, what will this army be able to achieve in the future? Will the Latins recover? How long will it take them to do so? Will Constantinople finally fall into actual Byzantine hands? Will we be able to begin our conquest east to gain all of Turkey? Or will we fail at each step, losing our lands one city after another? You shall see that in the next episode.